Diana, and I'm here with Scott Chisholm today. Hi, Scott.
Hi, Diana.
Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, it's great to be here.
Scott, we're talking with you today about suicide.
Yeah.
When you were 17, you lost your father to suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Today, you advocate for positive mental health, and you're putting together a book and a website.
Yes.
To support those that have also lost loved ones to suicide.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about your project and how you're advocating for mental health today?
Okay, yeah. It's called Collateral Damage, Images of Those Left Behind by Suicide. It's, the idea has been with me for years. I was a paramedic and firefighter. I'm a firefighter now, and also a photographer. People would often say to me, I would never hide the fact that my father died by suicide, but people would often say to me, I would never picture you tied to suicide. It would always strike me, what is your picture? Not just once, people would say it often. And so really the idea for the project came from those people, and not necessarily from me. So I wanted to put a face to those who have lost loved ones and friends to suicide, because I could not find that anywhere. For some reason people thought we ought to have 3 heads, or we look different. So the idea has been with me for about 10 years. I sort of left it there for a while, and a couple of years ago, a good friend of mine, very close to me, said, I think it's time for that project. And I was coming on the age my father was, and although I looked at, it wasn't a huge milestone, but it was there. I'm 45 now, he was 45, and it was something that I could look at his life, look at mine, whereas he was. What was interesting as I came closer to his age, I started looking less at me, and started looking more at my kids, who were becoming my age when I found out about my father's suicide. It was changed it dramatically. I was looking more at me, it was about me and my dad. And that's what this project is about, not those that we've lost to suicide, oddly enough, but how we move forward and who we are. So I started working on the project and putting it together. I wanted to, the project is about creating dialogue to get rid of stigma. And I thought through images that would work. By putting a face to it, how can we have stigma in faces like mine, yours, or somebody who lost loved ones to suicide? We're so quote normal, if normal exists. But it's people that we see every day. It's people we work with, people we go to school with, people we see at the grocery store that maybe we wouldn't expect this from. So we launched a project in June of 2009 with an invitation to participate, to come forward to be a part of the book. It was important to me to put the invitation out and not ask people, because everybody deals with this on their own terms, in their own way, in the way they're comfortable. And although I think it's really important to have people come forward to be a part of the book, it's also just as important those people who maybe can't really do that, but find a way through the project to come to the website, have a look around, and take what they can from it and move forward, to realize that they're not alone, that there are other people. So the project idea is to break the stigmas through creating dialogue. And so that's what we're doing. We launched it on June 16th of 2009. And the response has been overwhelming. And at first we didn't know what it would do, who would come forward. And quickly we realized that anyone, and that by having the invitation, by inviting somebody to talk about it, is all that was needed. And I know that to this day, that hasn't been allowed. Nobody's let me talk about it. And when we put the invitation out to say, share your story, people jump on it. They do it every day. Today, I get probably 3 or 4 stories a day. We've got well over 500 stories. People who want to come forward and be in the book.
That's fantastic.
It is.
Now you're a photographer.
Yes.
Have you always been artistic, or would you say that your artistic tendencies arose from having to deal with overwhelming emotions?
I think I've always been creative. Even from a young age, even when I look back at my grade school report cards and what my teacher said about me, I was always hyper, looking out the windows, paying attention, and just the world around me was always really, really important to me. And I think it was always there. I could never draw. I can't draw to save my life. So that wasn't it. But it was when I picked up a camera, it became clear that, okay, this is it. From an early age, when I was a teenager, when I got the camera as a gift from my mother, it was, yes, this is what I can do. And as time went on with the camera, it was just an extension of who I am. and the people around me, and photographing this just life and what it is. It's a lot of what I like to do is almost with the documentary. But yeah, it's certainly there.
Now, how would you say that expressing yourself through art helps you to resolve, work through unresolved issues? Would you say that it does?
A lot of, when I went to launch a project, a lot of people would ask, about this project being cathartic. When I was originally doing the information on the project to put on the website about myself, kind of with a bio, I had in one of the lines about, it'd be therapeutic for me or something like that. I forget what it was. And a number of people close to me came to me and said, that's so obvious, you can leave it out. And it certainly is. It certainly helps me a lot talking about it. And I guess knowing how much that helps me, and it could help others. But I've always been, even as work-wise, as a paramedic and firefighter, I've always been taking care of others and doing for others. And I think this fits really well. And, creating that dialogue with others has always been really important.
Awesome. Now, what would you say got you through the difficult time of losing your father to suicide? Would you say there was something that helped you deal with that loss and move towards recovery?
Well, it was interesting. It's been 28 years from it, so we're talking 1982. So we're going back a bit of time, but and especially at that time, I think it's not far different today that we don't talk about. So getting through with it, one of the things I was left is kind of on my own. I felt like I was on my own island. How do I do this? I was somewhat fortunate that I was heading off to university at the time and heading out west. So there was a big change for me in life. I came from a small northern Ontario town, so I had to leave anyway. So there was a separation. But I never chose not to talk about it, and so my profs knew about my father's suicide. Interestingly, when I look back, they got me writing about it. So I'd do papers on it, and I just thought it was normal. I was doing criminology. I thought it was normal, but when I look back, no, it wasn't. And so, although I've never had any therapy or counseling, I actually did through people around me helping me.
So they had you write assignments about it?
Yeah, my sociology and my psych papers, they would sort of lean me towards, maybe you want to look at this, or they'd have a class project.
Was that helpful?
When I look back, I just thought I was doing the work that I ought to be doing.
Right.
But in hindsight, absolutely, because I talked about it.
That's good.
Yeah, it was very good.
Now, what would you say were the hardest emotions for you to work through? And was there something that helped you deal with those?
It's interesting you say that because I think they're still here. I did a presentation yesterday at a university, and a young woman approached me afterwards, and she said to me, "Scott, does it get any easier?" And I said, "Well, it's interesting you ask me now because just the other day, I was talking to my 6-year-old son had to do, he's in grade 6. He had to do this little paper on himself, who I wanted to paper. He got to me and I read it, and he did it with his mom, and they were working on it the night before, so I didn't see it. And when I saw it the next morning, he wanted me to print it for me. So when he got to my dad, he was sort of blank.
Your dad?
Yeah, because he didn't know much about my dad. And then after that, I said, I wish I would have met him. And all this time, I've been meeting with my dad, saying, okay, get through it, get over it, recover from it. But it lives with you. But now it's this whole new phase, because Kyle has to find a way to find meaning through this. What is it? Had he died in a car accident or by cancer, it would have been more clear for him. Now it's, who is he? Who am I? And it's those, and so those become difficult and challenging. And it's new, so I don't think it stays with us. And I think that's what's different about suicide, is that it doesn't go away. And not that it's bad and going to keep me down all the time, but it's something that's always with us.
Always a process.
That's changing.
Right.
And it is a part, and it is a good thing, because it's something now that my son, who's in grade 6, now has this conversation on suicide and difficult grieving, and he's able to begin to articulate it in his way and know that it's okay to talk about it, and he can talk to me and his mom.
That's good.
And it moves forward, and it's very good. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite memory of your father?
I think that my favorite memories of my dad is, I mean, he was such kind of soft, and caring, and he owned his own business, and it was an automotive business, and he cared for, always take care of everybody. Sort of watching him do things for others was always huge. But I think this time with him, like fishing or walking through the woods, just those simple times with him. I mean, that's it. I mean, I think those are the biggest. Yeah, that forever. Yeah.
Do you think that stigma that surrounds mental illness differs from men to women at all? We have, although more women attempt suicide,
yeah.
we have 4 out of 5 men that actually complete suicides in Canada. So do you think that stigma differs in men not reaching out for help, or in the way that it affects them?
I think it's different. I mean, men and women, men don't talk. Men don't. We want to keep it to ourselves. We want to solve the problems. We want to. We don't talk. It's funny. I saw a comedian last year, Big Daddy Taz, by this great analogy of men and women, and it's women take care of themselves. They talk to each other. Men don't, and it doesn't matter over what. And I think it's not necessarily the stigma. I think the stigma is as great on both sides. But I think where men have the problem is, and I don't know if it's stigma, just our lack of being able to communicate, a lack of to sharing our emotions and how we feel. And I think it's so important to have those examples, because we need to put them out there and say it's okay to be who we are. And not only is it okay, and I think something that's come up through this project is that when I've expressed on the main page of our website who I am, my loss to suicide, and sharing it, the response coming back is, by me sharing what's seemingly a vulnerability, ends up being one of my greatest strengths. And I think as we do that and encourage those strengths to come out, men will begin to do more. But we do have to look at it hard. When I do my presentations, the rooms are full of women, almost 80-90% women all the time coming out. The response even on the website would be moms and sisters. We have to find a way to get men out there. And a lot of what we're doing now is what I'm looking at, especially as a firefighter. Surrounded by men who don't talk about it, and we have to.
And the feeling that I've encountered is men are supposed to be tough.
Yep.
Men aren't supposed to have mental health issues.
Yep. And we're supposed to take care of people. We're supposed to take care of our families. We're supposed to. And it's both, I think it's a social issue, and it's also one that we build within ourselves. And I think what we need to do, and it's almost between men, and there's some ideas that I've come up with even for men to pact with each other, that if we ever get to a point where we feel like we might hurt ourselves, that I'll call you first. And if we begin to have these conversations so that we can still keep it between us and still be manly, still not break this, but begin to say, you know what? Only because, and do it in a healthy state. I know I can make that pact with somebody because my father did what he did. I know there's other stories and people that I meet who will talk about their sons who were 23, who were happy, were the life of the party, were athletic, were academic, they were just successful. They were everything that we know they are, but yet this happened. So we know it can. And I think we have to believe that, we have to understand that this can happen. It can happen to any family. Regardless of what we think they are, it can happen to anybody. I think once we believe that, then we will begin to do something about it. And if I can have that conversation with another firefighter, with a best friend of mine, say, if I ever get to that point, I'll call you first. And you do the same. We need to make deals like that and begin that dialogue somehow. We have to find a way to do that. So if we don't, we're going to continue down this path. We can't do that. It has to change.